How's it going, team? Eddie Gray back at it again, continuing on our education and conversation on the score editor. Here it says that you can add notes and symbols from the part box into all currently selected regions at the same position. And when they're referring to the part box right here on the left-hand side, below the event inspector, which is here, and below the region inspector, which is there. Okay, it says here that this technique allows you to insert notes, symbols, and even text elements into several regions at once. When selecting multiple regions, the top line of the event inspector is going to show the number of the selected staff's regions. So for example, I'll create a selection here. All right, you can see that I have 4 notes selected according to the event inspector. Okay, let me go and select something a little bit wider here. Let's cast a wider net. And then again, 4 notes selected. All right, so we're going to insert an item in the tracks area or in the score editor. Select the regions in which you want to insert the item and drag the item into one of the regions at the position where you want to add, or you can click on one of the regions with the pencil tool at the position where you want to add the item. So I will hold shift, we'll grab this symbol here and just drag it right in. So that's a whole note. I will grab it. All right, so that's one way to do it. Again, if you don't want to hear the sound, just hit MIDI out and you should be good to go. Let me go ahead and just turn that off. So you don't have to play everything in per se. You can just quite literally compose on the spot. All right, so let's say we want to change the key here. We would utilize the pencil tool. I have the proper staff selected. I click one time and then it adds that particular clef to the score. All right, I go back to the pointer tool. Let's keep going. Page 771. You want to edit multiple items in the Logic Pro score editor. When multiple items are selected in the score editor, the title of the event inspector indicates the number of selected items. Right? If the selection is limited to only notes, chords, or text objects, the title is going to also indicate the type of item selected. If the parameter fields are visible when multiple events are selected, their values can be edited simultaneously. All right. The value in a parameter field indicates that the selected items have different values. So if you ever see an asterisk like this, just basically means that there's offset values. So let's select a bunch of notes here. We go into the event inspector and we can see that 63 events are selected. Let me show you another example. If I select, let's say these 3, and I'm just going to manufacture this. So this first track 3, I'm going to bring down by 3 semitones. This one I'll bring up by 3 as well. And once I select all of these, I try and find the value of what this is. And I cannot see it because they all have different values. If I hit Command Z 2 times over, and these all are now resonating at 0, when I select all of them, we will see that value. And if you're not seeing that on your screen, do me a favor, go to Display and make sure that you enable Show Default Values inside of your preferences. All right, so we're going to set vertical and horizontal positions for all the selected items to the same value. Okay, we're going to use these here, key commands, to set all the items to the value of the first selected item. If only one item is selected, a dialog is going to ask if all similar objects should be set to the same value. This technique is very useful for aligning lyrics and chord symbols, for example. So let's go to align objects vertically. So again, select all this and let's look for that key command, align. Okay, so I don't have anything set, so I'm just going to go ahead and just type in something wild like this. Okay, so right now this is assigned to set. Yeah, this is good. I will replace it. Okay, so then now I've selected all this inside the score editor. I'll hit the appropriate key command. You can see that it aligns everything vertically. Let's do that again. Okay, good. So the purpose of this, again, is to align lyrics and chord symbols if you need a little bit more space. And you can also move horizontally and align object positions which affects both parameters. Change the relative values of multiple items. If you grab the asterisk with an offset value and you use the pointer as a slider, so basically drag up or down, the value shown during this process belongs to the first of the selected objects. Double click the value and then insert a change. All right, let's select one or more regions in the score editor. Click an instrument name in the column between the parameter and the score to select all regions for the track, including regions on different tracks that are assigned to the same software instrument channel at the current display level. So we're going to click on the instrument. So let's see here. In this case, I'll click on the horns. All right, so in this case, I'll click on the horns. So I'm actually clicking on the name and I'm not seeing it go into focus. It's not until I click right here that I notice the region is now in focus. So again, click close to or on the clef and you should see that work nicely. All right, if we want to hide regions, you can hide them so that they're not displayed in the score editor. When you want to print the score, this is useful for hiding regions that only contain MIDI events or for alternate versions that you wish not to display. We go to the MIDI regions that we want to hide, and in the region inspector, we choose hide from score. So again, selecting on the horns, region inspector, not seeing it, maybe because key focus is in the score editor. I'll hit tab. I'll click on this region here. And when I open up the more disclosure triangle here, score, we're going to hide. And now that gets rid of the horns. All right, we're going to add notes to a score. General, if we want to add notes, we would record on a software instrument track. You can record directly into the score editor following the same procedure, with one exception. Rather than clicking on the track header, you click the staff for the track. And again, that's because that's what puts it in focus. So for example, when I click on the staff for strings, you can see that the strings are selected. For piano, piano is selected. There are two alternative ways to add notes to a score. So we can record directly into the score editor, tracks area. We can use the pointer and we can use the step input. We have gone over both of these methodologies in this series. So for reference, please go back to one of the former videos. Step input is going to let you add notes from a musical keyboard. The key command for that, I believe, is Option Command K, and you will be working with this incredible tool. Have fun. You can add notes directly using the pointer tool. While viewing the score in the linear view, you choose note values from the insert pop-up menu in the local score inspector. So if we go to view, linear, this is another workflow that you can adopt. It's up to you how you want to go about it. I would say that everyone's going to operate a little bit differently, but there you go. All right, we're going to add notes and symbols from the part box. In order to access all of this, we're going to have to turn on advanced tools. And this is really where this part of the program shines. We get everything from notes, rest, key and time signature, clef signs, slurs, note heads, accents, bowing marks, fermatas, so on and so forth. To open the part box, we want to go ahead and hit the disclosure triangle, and that's going to get us up and running. So if we go here, just go ahead and open up the part box. This is where we have all that information. So we're looking at all the symbols that we're going to need. We click a symbol at the top of the part box to view the symbol. All right, if we want to reorder the symbols, we drag a symbol group up or down by the handle on its left side. So let's say we want this to drag down below that category, we can do that. If we want the notes at the very top, you can do that as well. Go ahead and try that out. If we want to display all symbol groups, go ahead and just hit the all button, and now you get to see everything in all its glory here. It's pretty amazing. To view symbol groups in a floating window, we can actually drag this out. This might be very useful for some of you that do a lot of scoring here. Looks like you can also open up multiple floating part box windows and display different score symbols as well. Until you deselect the symbol, close the window in which it was selected, or select a symbol in another. Okay, so let's see, we'll drag one, we'll drag another. And so like on this one, we can highlight the various symbols or articulations. And then perhaps on this one, we can highlight all those slurs, all your velocity markings. So that's pretty cool. Didn't know you could do that. Okay, it looks like we can actually create sets here. So if I click and hold, I have a guitar notation set. So I'll drag that, utilize that here. We can also use text and lyrics to be able to write lyrics for lead sheets, what have you. And then finally, we'll drag notes and rest, and we are all well equipped and ready to compose. Okay, so here we're going to set up a quarter note as a key command inside of the part box. It says here that if we press it twice, we will be selecting the triple note value. If we hit that same key command 3 times, we'll get the dotted note value. So again, I'll hit Shift, Control, Option, Command I. That's what I set it up to here inside of the key command window. I'll look at the screen over here. I'll hit it 1 time. That's a quarter note. And then you hit it twice, you get that triplet value, right? 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess it's from the original. Yeah, you get the dotted note value. And then, of course, back to the original is there. Awesome. We want to select adjacent symbols. Looks like there's key commands for that. So the name of the game is you don't have to use your mouse the whole time. If you find yourself scoring a lot, string arranging, you don't necessarily have to get away from key commands. You just have to assign them and take the time. If you have Logic Remote, I highly recommend you set up all this in advance. If we want to add notes and rest, it would be done more or less the same, right? We don't have to record everything. There is silence to consider. We can add notes directly from the part box as well. We can add silence. We can use the step input keyboard to do that as well. Logic Pro is automatically going to display rest and regions in the score editor, right? Because we're not playing all the time based on the current quantized display settings. So you can also add rest manually to change the appearance of rests in a score. So adding notes from the part box, select the note you want to add. You can just drag it like we did, or we can use the pencil tool. Just a quick note, the help tag appears while the mouse button is held down to help you place notes in the correct position. Again, if I click and hold, you can see that help tag starts to pop up as soon as I start to click and hold on the right-hand side. I'm not utilizing any articulations yet. We'll get to that. If we want to add a rest, it really is more or less the same thing. Let's say we wanted a rest here. We would just drag it in. If we wanted a rest maybe here, we can just drag that in as well. If you want to change the clef in multiple places, hold Shift, drag over to the place in question. You can see that all 3 of the tracks have changed their clef. Okay, if you want to go ahead and change the key or time signature, you're going to have to hover your mouse over these 2 specific places. So if I click, you'll see that I can change the key. Let's see, we'll go to A. And let's hit OK. Now, I'm not hearing the MIDI change, but I am seeing all the changes within the score editor. And if you wanted to change the time signature, let's say this was in 5/4. I know it's not, but this visually will set us up so that if we wanted to send this out, we could, and it would obviously make visual sense for the people that we're working with. So just make sure you kind of know what you're doing here. You understand that you can change the staff style, you can change the key, and you can change the time signature here, right? If you want to change the time signature in wrapped view, I guess it's a little bit different. Right now I'm inside of linear view. So let's see if we can change that back up. So we'll go view, let's go to wrapped view and see what that looks and feels like. So looks like you would have to control click on either the time signature or the staff in order to get that going. Let's say I did want to edit the time signature. Now we see that. Again, I'll click here and now we can see the clefs and signatures. We can make changes there as well. And if you want to change the key signature, you're not going to be able to click on the clef as some of you probably thought you would. You would click right in between. In fact, you would control click and then you would edit the key signature there. If you want to change the visuals of your clefs, how they look, how they appear, you're going to want to do that inside of your preferences, score, clefs, and signature. You can also go to layout and have a number of options here. But essentially it says in the user guide that each staff style has a default clef sign. And you want to choose one that's appropriate to the instrument. You can add clef changes to the score to improve readability. When does this apply? If an instrument normally written in one clef moves into a different range, and then that would require many ledger lines. Obviously, you're going to want to make sure that this works for the people that you're working with, the orchestra, what have you. And so this is how you would change that. You can add a clef sign from if you want to add a clef sign, again, go to the part box, find the appropriate clef. I like to hit all here, the top left, so I can look at everything. And so let's say we were going to change to this clef, then we add it to the appropriate place, and now everything visually is going to look differently but sound the same. But if that was to improve the readability for my players, then that would be a good choice. Again, for those of you really know what you're doing, you want to go inside of this menu to really optimize this space. The next time that I see you, we're going to be working on adding dynamic marks, slurs, crescendi to a score in Logic Pro. Thank you guys very much. I will catch you tomorrow. Take good care.